the snoring. Your wisdom is already pouring. And I wanna praise you. I wanna praise you. I wanna praise you. I wanna praise you. You're my coffee, coffee, coffee. You're the first thing in the morning. You're my coffee, coffee, coffee. Gotta have you in the morning. You're my coffee, coffee, coffee. You're the first thing in the morning. You're my coffee, coffee, coffee. Coffee, coffee, coffee. I've been distant, so distant. It just all feels so different. It may seem like I'm mixing, but there is something missing. All the tension he's fixing. The position keeps switching. I gotta sit down and listen. I gotta sit down and listen. Hey, yes, he's my rock. Making a move and he's right on my side. Yahusha has came, so confess my Shiach. Repent for your sins and then wash all your spots. Through all the pain, chasing that life that you cannot contain. Repent and repent, but please don't entertain. Living this life that you gotta sustain. You're my coffee, coffee, coffee. You're the first thing in the morning. You're my coffee, coffee, coffee. Gotta have you in the morning. You're my coffee, coffee, coffee. You're the first thing in the morning. You're my coffee, coffee, coffee. Coffee, coffee, coffee. Praise you. I wanna praise you. I wanna praise you. I wanna praise you. Yeah, we want to welcome you to history. Jesus history, that is. We don't mean no harm. We just want to continue to make the name of Jesus Christ great throughout the earth. I hope you don't mind. Welcome to history. Yeah. Toast it up with the fam, we making history. I love my father so much, Jesus my everything. Can't wait to fly in them skies, put on that waiting ring. One day gon' dance in this glory, heaven receiving me. Big lights so bright in the sky, I see my future clear. Not what I ask for myself, the Lord I blame him here. Sit back and watch the progress, we on a mission trail. Everything for the kingdom, we making history dear. Yeah. For sure, I'm in my G mode. Fast out, prayed up, praised in. G code, no slack, on max, all in. Beast mode, on the devil, another level. Ain't playing G code, yeah. Jesus is my everything, I do not apologize. Trust my Savior, seen his favor, spirit filled inside. Talk about me, crucify me, you gon' pay the price. Do not touch what is God's, not gon' tell you twice. Yeah, I'ma tell you twice. Holy bride of my Savior, yeah, I'm feeling fly. Got the power of my Lord twinkle in my eye. Making history for the Father till the day I die. Choose it up with the fam, we making history. I love my father so much, Jesus my everything. Can't wait to fly in them skies, put on that waiting ring. One day gon' dance in this glory, heaven receiving me. Big lights so bright in the sky, I see my future clear. Not what I ask for myself, the Lord I blame him here. Sit back and watch the progress, we on a mission trail. Everything for the kingdom, we making history dear. Yeah. My team is like no other. We cutting devil's heads, going straight through just like butter. A casualty for Christ till the death, I'm a martyr. Pulling God's children from the pit, Satan slaughter. Yeah, Jezebel no more. She cannot be a part of what my Lord is doing. Don't get that girl no water. Her spirit say destroyer, and that's what we gon' give her. Protecting God's children, motor combat gotta live her. Make her quiver, shake and shiver. God's power will deliver, yeah. Just what I'm saying, God's power will deliver. I'm praying for the souls of my holy father children. Abundant blessings overflow, it's about to hit the ceiling. Making history. Yeah, we making history.
And I just pray for patience. For real. And it's truth, you're gonna be tested. There's no way out of it. And I just pray for patience. Lord knows I need it. We all set goals, and some days we never reach them. Lack of discipline to have you tossed with the wind. We all pray for shade, feel that breeze coming in. In days I feel stressed, though we closer to our rest. Pressure weigh a ton, I push that bar up off my chest. Being humble is the key, and the Lord give you access. Trying to hide your sin, know the Lord does a bad check. No cowards in the truth, praying that we lose. Middle finger to the world, suckers never had a clue. Watch the company you keep, everybody ain't sincere. Don't credit too soon, you know Satan will appear. Stay strong in the Lord, if you slip, keep your balance. Get your core right, you know, exercise good habits. Look a hater in the eyes, can see they soul rot. They really sense greatness as they jockey for your spot. Keep your mind right, focus, never be the fool. Study hard, keep the loss, always play it cool. Never show the hand you dealt, keep that poker face. They like to play on your emotions, stand back and watch the fate. You ain't gotta trip, hold tight, be a soldier, know you strong in this mic. And I just pray for patience. Never ever let them see you down, wipe them tears while you fighting for your crown. And I just pray for patience. You ain't gotta trip, hold tight, be a soldier, know you strong in this mic. And I just pray for patience. Never ever let them see you down, wipe them tears as you fighting for your crown. And I just pray for patience.
Shabbat Shalom, Yasharal. May the Most High always hold you guys, bless you, keep you, and protect you and the whole family out here, Zion. Let's go to the next music joint. I got some gems for us.
Tripping and slipping, you love me and hate me, you don't. Worry, I'm out of here, promise I'm gone. Lately it hasn't been fair, expect to do some. Right away, I get it right away, how is it wrong? Tell me why I can't move right now, I feel so paralyzed. Live my life freely, I can't be terrified. Calling on me now, it sound like beep, beep, yeah, like beep, beep, yeah. Everyone around me going out so bad. Can't connect cause nowadays it seems we only lay. I can't reach them on my own, check the call center. Check it out. I guess when you speak the truth, they gon' try to censor. I been having to deal with a lot, thinking about myself. Can't let them steal my spot. Please just pick up my call, they gon' listen, yeah, they so federal. I don't care, I just need you to know that I'm falling, it's been difficult. Yeah. Tripping and slipping, you love me and hate me, you don't. Worry, I'm out of here, promise I'm gone. Lately it hasn't been fair, expect to do some. Right away, I get it right away, how is it wrong? Tell me why I can't move right now, I feel so paralyzed. Live my life freely, I can't be terrified. Calling on me now, it sound like beep, beep, yeah, like beep, beep, yeah.
Our brother Lawrence families have been doing some wonderful things, families. Him and the tribe families have been trying to help out those that's in Haiti. Let's go check it out.
Alright, y'all, so it's Thursday, it's 8 o'clock right now, p.m. Alright, so I'm on my way to Fort Lauderdale. I can leave this house, go to see if I can handle all this stuff with the Haitian mission. So this begins the major work. So I'm heading to Fort Lauderdale right now. Today is Thursday. Just keeping a little documentary about what's going on. So I'll be touching bases with you all, letting you know the progress and how things are going. So I'll see y'all later. 99 is good, I'm looking for the lost one. is good, I'm looking for the lost one. 99 is good, I'm looking for the lost one. I'm looking for the one that got away. 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 I feel a sense of obligation. Feels like I'm carrying 10,000 tons on my back. I won't stop to work, I won't give up, I just won't slack. 'Cause I got love for my people. Though they be many among the enemy, one by one I'll search for them, I gotta try. 99 is good, I'm looking for the lost one. 99 is good, I'm looking for the lost one. 99 is good, I'm looking for the lost one. I'm looking for the one that got away. 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 Like Yeshua, I'm looking for the lost sheep. The ones that escape out the gate. With them false idols, they like to fornicate. You know we like to even pay away. So I will go to the ends of the earth. Wherever you summon me, I will obey. On the tree you show me how you love me. You're the sacrificial lamb, you are eternity. 99 is good, I'm looking for the lost one. 99 is good, I'm looking for the lost one. 99 is good, I'm looking for the lost one. I'm looking for the one that got away. 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 99 is good, I'm looking for the lost one. 99 is good, I'm looking for the lost one. 99 is good, I'm looking for the lost one. I'm looking for the one that got away. I'm looking for the one that got away. I'm looking for the one that got away. I'm looking for the one that got away.
Beautiful. Tribe up. Let's go. Tribe up.
No matter what. No matter what. Repent now. No matter what. Charity covers a multitude of sins. These demons try their best to win. Charity will save you from that burning pit. You gotta keep your candle lit. Charity won't have you turning on your brothers. It'll show you how to honor your mother. And even though they cross you, you gotta still show them you love. Cause charity will bring us all together. Charity give me clarity when I feel Satan just trying to vex me. I stay true to myself, never let them get the best of me. Repentance or vengeance, hold a grudge or forgiveness. Either way, the Most High gon' be that witness. So that judgment day will be in remembrance. Don't fall off and never show that real repentance. Humans might give up on you, but Shai will always have forgiveness. So never forget it, that's something I gotta live by. I always show love over everything, no matter who I step by. People might forget it, but I only rely on the Most High. I don't think about it twice, I just do what's right. Cause it's embedded in my heart, I just wanna see that paradise. Covers a multitude of sins. These demons try their best to win. Charity will save you from that burning pit, you gotta keep your candle lit. Know how you turning on your brothers, it'll show you how to honor your mother. And even though they cross you, you gotta still show them you love. Cause charity will bring us all together. Charity is immortal. Look within and try to open that portal. It's called love. Plus the Most High had it before you, he called us. And for that I will blindly follow. It's called trust. Still see through the darkness, even when they moving awkward. Charity, how I'm responding. It don't matter who the fault is, cause that hate ain't worth my office. You are not my target. And plus if I don't forgive him, he won't take my offering. Figure that. Shadaya Wall and the Akakam. Love is a weapon, so we dropping bombs. Repentance and love is what we stay on. So to all, Shalom, Shalom, Shalom. Charity covers a multitude of sins. These demons try their best to win. Charity will save you from that burning pit. You gotta keep your candle lit. Know how you turning on your brothers, it'll show you how to honor your mother. And even though they cross you, you gotta still show them you love. Cause charity will bring us all together. Everybody gotta go, have to leave this earth. Sad to say a child is doomed from the birth. I lost a lot of people, most of them were very young. Can't bring them back cause all of them are long gone. Our people getting shot down in the streets every day. 13 years old, going to an early grave. Never had a chance at life, straight to the tomb. Only had a couple months out their mama's womb. Now they're gone and you ask where their parents at. I guess it's up to believers to show them how to act. The light of the world, but our children in the dark. Let's snatch them out accordingly and guide them to the art. Just like the days of Noah, only remnants gonna survive. Yahshua's coming back for the virgins that are wise. Death is all around, so what should we do? Keep your faith in Yahshua, keep his commandments too. Absent from the body, present with Yahuwah. Absent from the body, present with Yahuwah. When you lead his body, did you have faith in the path that you own? I hope it wasn't straight. I hope you love your brother as you love yourself. Hope you didn't trust in riches and all the wealth. Hope you repented for every sin. Hope you made amends. Hope you forgave unlimited times. And then again, hope you worship Yahuwah with all your being. Hope you guarded your heart, your ears, and what you're seeing. You're not your own because you belong to him. Present yourself a living sacrifice and say no to sin. Then you can walk in eternal bliss. No more cares of this world, can you picture this? No more dying, cause life will transcend. No more pain, no more struggle, world without end. No more darkness, cause all you see is light. So seek the Most High, Yah, with all your might. Absent from the body, present with Yahuwah. Absent from the body, present with Yahuwah.
Hallelujah in Yahusha. Let's go, families. Let's go. All right, families, man, I got some information that I want to show y'all, families. It's powerful. Now, families, you remember I was telling you about this chick, and she was talking to her moms. Let's go.
What do you call me? Sorry? What do you call me? You give me telephone you?
Yes.
Where?
Now.
But you're sitting right here.
This is why I wanted to have lunch. You just phone me. Now? Hello, Bethany speaking.
Hello?
You phoning for Bethany?
Yes. What are you doing?
This is Bethany. Can you hear me?
Well, you're right in front of me.
But can you hear me down the phone?
Oh my God.
This is me. On the phone, I had it implanted. My hand is the phone. I can walk and talk because I'm on the phone inside my hand. I am the phone. This is what phones are going to be from now on. I've integrated. Thank you for your call. Subdermal implants. They charge themselves with motion like a self-winding watch. And it's on the 22 network. I get signal across 95% of UK mainland, 98 by next year.
When I phoned you, it was ringing. You were ringing.
That's the speaker. So small.
Okay, but when did you get this done?
That course in Winchester, I had one finger done every night. I still need to use a handset to phone out. Look.
Hello?
Hi.
Okay, but look, I can't believe you had surgery without telling me.
Skin plants, not surgery, and I knew you'd be cross. But I'm 18, and you had that tattoo when you were 18, and it's the same sort of thing. And I wanted to ask you, will you do me a favour?
Genetic
What?
mutation.
Will you tell Dad?
Oh, sweetheart.
Please, will you tell Dad for me?
Let's go.
Rejoice, I will rejoice in the night. No matter what it looks like right now, I know your makeup is right. You always come through right on time. Rejoice, I will rejoice in the night. No matter what it looks like right now, I know your makeup is right. You always come through right on time. Through the days I thought I couldn't get past. Through the days I thought I wasn't gonna last. You heard every prayer, always made a way out. So I trust in your promises, cause I've seen your faithfulness. This joy can't be swayed by the noise. Storms I see raging waves, I rejoice. So my worries no more. I have free access to the throne. If there's one that I can rest on, he's for me. So you cannot get it wrong. Rejoice, I will rejoice in the night. No matter what it looks like right now, I know your makeup is right. You always come through right on time. Rejoice, I will rejoice in the night. No matter what it looks like right now, I know your makeup is right. You always come through right on time. I don't have the touch. Jesus Christ, the lover of my soul. Till I was tempted, I escaped. See the sorry one anyway. This is the day that the Lord has made, so I will rejoice and be glad in it. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Rejoice, I will rejoice. No matter what it looks like right now, I know your makeup is right. You always have the right time. Rejoice, I will rejoice in the night. No matter what it looks like right now, I know your makeup is right. You always come through on time. You always come through on time.
Ever since that you came to my life, things have aligned. Now I realize that true love can become you are the one that I need, the one that I seek, and I don't want nobody else. You are my father, my friend, savior of men. Papa, you stick with me to the end, over again and again, and we can trust your love. So it's amazing how you turn my life around, and all the things I used to do no more. Change me from the inside out, and made me a brand new man. Hey, everybody say, follow, help me, oh my Jehovah, Ogolo. And Sambele for my Jehovah, Sambele. Sambele for Jehovah, Sambele. Follow, yeah.
Ever since that you came to my life, things never lie. I mean it, see, things never die. Ever since man, them take a bite of a sweet, sweet love. I tell you, man, never takes pride, cause you switch it up. You made a damn ass, now a better man. You cheered out loud when I had no fan, even when I had it all wrong, I was by the plan. You never call me spawn, man, daddy, see, I mean it when I say this, that I'm giving everything that's within me, and even more, cause you open up closed doors. That be the reason I'm so grateful, and that be the reason I got this uncle. When I see stumps of ankle, I just think about you. I'm cool.
Say, follow, help me, oh my Jehovah, Ogolo. And Sambele for my Jehovah, Sambele. Sambele for Jehovah, Sambele. Follow, yeah. So it's amazing how you turn my life around, and all the things I used to do no more.
Yes, it is.
Change me from the inside out, and made me a brand new man.
Hey, I don't know I'm a man, you're mobile. You pamper me like I'm a diaper. You guided, protected, shielded, and stirred me up like man be some big out. I never thought of all this loving. I never thought man would be getting love from this man that I've been betraying. And that's why I'm saying that even if my last breath, my last cent, I'm praising you to my last end. I'm giving you more than enough, because more than enough is how far you have blessed me. Baba, this is not good. Baba, this is now shit. Pick me up from the miry clay. Set my feet on the rock. No, Vax, start again. Baba, this is not good. Baba, this is now shit. Pick me up from the miry clay. Set my feet on the rock. Stay and that's why it's don't say. Follow, help me.
My brother Big E is in the building. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I see you, King. All praise. Hallelujah.
So it's amazing how you turn my life around, and all the things I used to do no more.
Let's go, Zion.
Change me from the inside out.
Hey, let's go to the information, families. Let's go to the information. King E, I want to say respect and salute, elder. Hey, families, we got one of the elders of Zion in the building. Hallelujah, families. May the Most High Yah always hold you, guide you, bless you, keep you, and protect you and all those that you love, big bro. And we want to say shalom and shalom. All right, families. So you know how we gets down over here, families. You know what we do. Families, this video right here is going to be very mind-blowing, but interesting. I hope it edifies you.
Master it, and they didn't need to have more people joining in. So they wanted to close off that discussion. This is how the spy masters operate. Now, when they began to discover, and I want to put this into three categories. You have assets that are material, stagecraft, and let's call these advanced aircraft of man-made origin. All right, and I'm going to show you some tonight, and it will blow your mind, and it should. But things like this, man-made, anti-gravity, going all the way back to the late 50s and 60s, triangular, disc, boomerang, etc. What you need to understand is the gentleman I refer to and other people have confirmed of this time period to me, that around October 1954, we attained gravity control. So gravity control meaning electromagnetic systems that affect an object so it becomes seemingly weightless, levitates, and corrects for gravity. And others were using very high voltage, high frequency systems at certain hertz, cycles per second, that would cause a change in the atomic structure and the magnetic field in such a way that you could essentially cancel mass. Okay.
Pause. Now, why would he sit there and say controlling mass and he using words like frequency, families? Families, this is dealing with a power source, my brothers and sisters. Energy, families. That's why we sit there and say the power of God. Let the power of God, his Ruach, his spirit, his set apart Ruach, families, dwell inside of you, families. And then, families, it controls that. So these cats came up with something called gravity control. And he telling you the meaning of it, families. And he's telling that they can use anything that's dealing with any type of matter. Anything, and can make it weightless. Can make it weightless. This is confusing the balance that the Most High has set place forth for mankind. It's disrupting something, families. It's coming in between something, families. This is what they call a delusion, a mirage. It's to psych your mind up.
So without boring people with a physics lesson, if you make something close to massless, no weight, but weight is different from mass.
Pause. Then I just sit there and tell you. So families, we all learned this when you was in school. What is the things that they did not teach us, families? And then families, when you go to certain these certain universities, families, they is up under what they call a contract. Just like when you go to any job, just like when you go click up with any type of sorority or fraternity groups, clubs, whatever the case may be, families, y'all down bounded up into a covenant. Families, this is what they did to the just way of nature. Families, they confused it, families, and made it unbalanced. And they telling you what man did. They telling you what we did, y'all. Listen.
Massless. Then you can accelerate it at enormous speeds with very little power. And it can go right-hand turns, go up and down, and if you can control for the interior at 1G, in other words, one gravitational field, then you can go at 100,000 miles per hour, make a right-hand turn, and your brains don't come out of your ears. The secret weapon that we had was the atomic bomb. The secret weapon Adolf Hitler was working on was this. Why did it go black? Because they finally figured out how to master it, and they didn't need to have more people joining in. So they wanted to close off that discussion. So in October 1954, gravity control was mastered, and we began to build various prototypes of what the public would call UFOs. And some were made to simulate the shape, appearance, and motion of an extraterrestrial vehicle. Because what better way to confuse people than to have something that looks almost the same? Is it gold? Is it fool's gold? Is it real? Is it Memorex? Get where I'm going here? This is how the spy masters operate. So I call those the assets that are material physical craft. Now that's one category. We'll return to this. There's another category, and this is more difficult to understand, and that is electromagnetic assets. And these include electromagnetic systems that could optically, like a very advanced hologram, simulate an event. Electromagnetic systems that have been called popularly electronic warfare systems that are psychotronic and radionic, that interface with consciousness and thought. And
Pause. And why would he use the words dealing with consciousness and thoughts, families? This is how the Most High is going to know everything that you did, families. He's a just Elohim. Everything from your memory, families, has been recorded, families, good and bad. You can't make this a lie. You can't go around it. No, none of that. You got to go straight through that door, families. And families, you got to lay in the bed that you made. So these people are willing to bring more confusion to the minds of people that don't even know no better. They don't do their own due diligence and start doing some research, study on some stuff. This information is supposed to be free, but they put a price on it, families, because they know it holds weight. It holds value, families. True gold. Let's go.
The electromagnetic systems that can affect large segments of the population when targeted. Now, these began to be developed quite in an advanced fashion by the 40s and 50s. And by 1956, it had been accomplished to the point of state-of-the-art. And then the other asset, the third category, is human intelligence, human assets. And these are folks who, some wittingly, some unwittingly, have been provided with a script and experiences that they honestly believe are real, but that have been programmed and are like very advanced consciousness holographic experiences, if you will, electronic hallucinations.
Friends, let me listen carefully, anyone listening. Do not think you're going to be off the radar of the sector of the Intelligence Committee working tasked with this issue. No level of encryption, no level of patents, no level of spy versus spy talking in gibberish code over a phone is going to frustrate their knowing everything you're doing in real time. And the only protection there is strategic protection, which is massive disclosure and public transparency of everything you are doing. The quickest way to get killed doing this stuff is to do it secretively. If you do it in full view, you're completely safe. Why? Because the people who are in these covert programs, the last thing they want to do is to be caught red-handed in a wet works operation. Wet works are assassinations. A wet works operation with the whole world watching. That's why I'm still alive. We have to figure out how to move this, or I have to pass this on to a generation, because, I won't be around for more than another 30 or 40 years. But we need people to understand what the sciences are, because this is the biggest change in the history of the human race. Every CEO and high-tech person and billionaire I've met with wants to do the technology, monetize it, have patents, keep it secret, do the R&D in secrecy, like you're developing another piece of rubbish like this cell phone. This is junk. It's of no real significance at all. Not going to change the world. It's a telephone that you can talk on like in the early 1900s, except it's wireless using the same frequencies of a radio or what have you. It's nothing. It's nothing. Trillions of dollars into nothing. So the paradigm of doing this as a intellectual property in secret, the only way you're going to get that out is if you convince this other hardcore element within the intelligence community and corporate world that they should give up thousands of trillions of dollars of asset-based utilities, coal and oil, so that this happens, and they don't want to do that. And believe me, Bill Gates can't take on this multi-trillion-dollar element. Bill Gates has no money at all compared to these guys. What can take them on? The masses of people knowing about it. The lab doing it is live streamed on the internet. It's done fully open source. And the instant you hit the sweet spot in the resonant frequencies of a free energy device, the entire world knows it, and dozens of academic centers reproduce it in real time. You squeeze the...
Pause. Let's go, families. I'm not done. Let's go. We got some gems today. Let's get it.
This one crazy.
Yeah, hey. Honestly, I strive to be just like the sun, but I need more guiding me. Lord, just be with me as I go. Got my past and put angels where I stroll. Hey, though I try to push and get right. Calling out to God through my midnight. I try to fight the evil, killing all my flesh to show my people.
Hey, what's up with Uncle Twin? Heard that he a preacher now. Better tell him I don't want it if it's evil now. I'm still a soldier, ain't no weakness in my meekness now. I live for Jesus, I refuse to let my people down. God must love my tears because he bottled mine. He wrote them down on paper when he see me crying. God must love my head because he numbered them. Every detail of my life, every one of them. Made a covenant with my eyes, a covenant with my ears. Some things I refuse to see, some things I refuse to hear. A covenant with my mouth, won't speak the things that decay. Some things I refuse to do, some things I refuse to say. Hey, take my Bible out, read it and apply. Lord, I thank you for your promise every day that you supply. Hey, hands to heaven as I look up to the sky. I know that I regret it if I never fully try.
Honestly, I strive to be just like the sun, but I need more guiding me. Lord, just be with me as I go. Got my past and put angels where I stroll. Hey, though I try to push and get right. Calling out to God through my midnight. I try to fight the evil, killing all my flesh to show my people.
I told my nephew, hope you grow to be a godly man. Find a godly woman, have a godly fam. Don't be like me and have your children scattered everywhere. Different pieces of my heart, I planted everywhere. If you're married there, you'll be buried there happily ever after. Not only men in the fairy tales. They focus on the step, don't look at the stairs. Take it one day at a time, talk to God in prayer. Study yourself to be approved, to show you well prepared. Life can be unfair, but you know Jesus cares. Man, your daddy will be proud to see you overcome. The man that you become, I love you, man, like you my son. You see this weight that I carry, come help me carry this. Everything I had before I leave, you will inherit this. Hands to heaven as I look up to the sky. Both of us gon' regret it if we never fully try.
Honestly, I strive to be just like the sun, but I need more guiding me. Lord, just be with me as I go. Got my past and put angels where I stroll. Hey, though I try to push and get right. Calling out to God through my midnight. I try to fight the evil, killing all my flesh to show my people.
Hands to heaven as I look up to the sky.
I
regret it if I never fully try. Hands to heaven as I look up to the sky. I regret it if I never fully try.
Come on, music joints, family. See that soul before I give you some more information. Let's go.
Let his name be glorified. Come on.
Moments like this is what I pray for. Yeah, it's what I pray for. Moments like this is what I pray for. Yeah, it's what I pray for. Moments like this is what I prayed for. Never knew I could fly till I let go. Got a dream, gotta get it every 24. I be going so hard with these metaphors. As a kid, I was rapping in some closed doors. Couple years later, now I got a platform. Ain't no second guessing, boy, God put me on. And when I'm in the booth, I feel it right at home. Ain't no stopping, boy, till I reach the top, boy. Unashamed till I die, what you thought, boy? I just focus on the grind, I don't hear the noise. You can have it all, but you can't take my joy. Yeah, and that is how I live. My life is not my own, man, I do it for the king. Yeah, he gave up everything. I just wanna hear well done. Yeah, and that is how I live. My life is not my own, man, I do it for the king. Yeah, he gave up everything. I just wanna hear well done. And I ain't trying to preach to you. I was out there trying to be a smooth operator. Far from the light like it's Vader. On to the next God, blame it on my nature. Till I finally looked in the mirror. Yeah, I met God at my lowest point. Beside his grace, now I finally get the point. Unashamed, you can meet me at the front. I'ma tell the whole world he the one. Running my race till it's done. When I shine, boy, blame it on the sun. Running my race till it's done. When I shine, boy, blame it on the sun.
I need you every day, and I need need you in every way, and I pray that you see me through and through, cause I can't do life without you. Ay. I need you every day, and I need you in every way, and I pray that you see me through and through, cause I can't do life without you. Ay.
And that is how I live. My life is not my own, man. I do it for the king. Yeah. He gave up everything. I just wanna hear well done in the end. Yeah. And that is how I live. My life is not my own, man. I do it for the king. Yeah. He gave up everything. I just wanna hear well done. My life is not my own, man. I do it for the king.
Man, our brother Benny Yah with Royale families had dropped off another video. Let's go. Actually, families, let's go check out Zion Lex, because Eddie Griffin, y'all, you know how Eddie is. Let's go.
Oh yeah, you can't mine no more coins over there because they need an election.
Pause. Now the key thing that I want y'all to see in this video right here, families, is the shirt that Eddie Griffin is wearing. Now this elder right here, families, as he done got older in his years, families, he done slowed all the way down. So the Most High done increased this brother's knowledge, families. He has been around individuals, families, that is waking them up to something. Is waking them up to truth, families. Truth is only one way, families. It's only righteous. It's only righteous. It's going to cut both ends, families. For real. For real. But when they see people like this, people have different type of opinions. Okay.
Electricity for all the people, but anyway, that's a whole nother thing. But I'm hearing that South
Let's see what
America
you gotta say.
is mining with nuclear power, and there's a country that made crypto they base currency. I wish I could remember the name of it, but as it should be, because they stealing everybody information, they spying all this shit. They got their whole car full, because there's this insider bitch just telling them Mark Zuckerberg and his German tactics.
Yeah, I just see it.
It's a white bitch from the inside telling them all his German Gestapo tactics he's using against the public. You gotta read that when she telling everything. Now, the fact that this is the second time the bitch done told, she's highly protected by some government agency. It's trying to bring Mark Zuckerberg into the fuck fold so that Facebook becomes federal book. You see what I'm saying? So, and hold on, when this go down, we're shutting down our Facebook account because it's already federal book. That's what the F stands for. It's federal book. And what do they know? They know your face. They got that face recognition right on your fucking camera, don't they? Don't they? Who am I? You know, you fuckers. Fucking federal book sons of bitches.
Turn the TV off.
Everybody gonna lose their goddamn mind. Cause they gonna wonder, what the fuck do I do now? You can go outside. Oh yeah, you told them go outside cause there's something floating in the air that might kill you. Why don't they want us outside? What are we missing that's floating by in the air? Where? What is that?
New Zealand.
Oh yeah. Hold on. that always happens somewhere in Europe. It's hard to shake and it should scare you, America. The fuck out of here. Hey, now, hold on. Now, you read that, right?
Right.
Now, Google, I always do this. Wherever there's a problem with all this COVID, Google New Zealand tourism. Google. It's not going to match what you just read on the news story. They're going to be welcoming you to New Zealand. They're going to show you some hotel options and some shit to do while you're there.
Yeah.
Huh? Ain't that what you just said?
Yeah, go to Mount Cook.
Yeah. Oh, did it say anything about COVID outbreak that's killing people? It's always somewhere way away. Remember in China when it first came out, there were dead bodies in the streets. And it's gonna be dead bodies over here. Have you ever, in any motherfucking city, seen dead bodies laying in the streets? Dead from COVID. I'm just trying to figure out. I done toured every city. I ain't seen no dead bodies at the airport, on the street, outside a hotel, hospital, nowhere. But we've been so.
Pause. So now, Elder EG families done got into a stage in his life, families, where he done did all his sinning, y'all. Somebody been talking to this brother, letting him know about his transgressions, and he's been asking the Most High Yah for forgiveness, y'all. But everybody got an opinion. A lot of people have something to say, y'all. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of people is starting to see the coonery that's going around, y'all. And they have something to say. They as well have an opinion. Just most people just don't like how it came out, how they delivered it, y'all. But it still be the truth. You just didn't say it nicely enough. You know what I'm saying? That means you can't change other people's characters, man. You can't change that. But if it's the truth, come on now. He got some more. He got some more. And I'm going to show you, families, that everything has a meaning. Everything that symbolizes anything that has the Most High Yah's name in it, y'all, it has understanding to it. Why? Because he's bringing wisdom to that, families. And you're going to know things about it, y'all. And he's been sitting down with somebody, and somebody been teaching him. That's why he's wearing the shirt with proud, y'all. It's pleasing to the Most High Yah. Let's go.
Oh, it's the most deadliest shit ever. Fuck out of here. So, yeah. Yeah, what's it called, New Zealand again?
New Zealand, yeah.
Keep going. You find anything of death and mayhem in New Zealand?
No.
But the news just told you it's deadly in New Zealand, didn't it? Why wouldn't that be added to motherfucking tourist sites? Don't they have a COVID warning on the tuba site?
Oh no, there's a COVID alert. You can't enter New Zealand.
Yeah.
They got a quarantine restriction.
Yeah, it says destination closed to entry.
Oh, really? Because New Zealand don't want the motherfuckers to bring that COVID over. That's what's really happening. Now Google, did New Zealand ever take the shot?
Oh yeah.
I guarantee you, no.
Pause. Now check this out from Brother Zion Lex. Man, we got some brothers and sisters out in Zion families, man, that actually been speaking out, y'all. They saying a little something. You know, they just hoping, man, that those that have the ear, they will hear it. Check this out. So EG has something to say. He got an opinion too, y'all. He has an opinion too. Let's go.
Actor, comedian Eddie Griffin's shirt, you'll notice that
I'm trying
on
to show
his
y'all
shirt
something.
is what we
Pause.
called.
So do you remember that one video that I showed you earlier where they was telling you about when they invented gravity control and they mastered it, y'all, and they did it in 1954, And then by 1956, families, they was able to give you what we call today Project Bluebeam. Project Bluebeam, a false image, a mirage, families. What they call holograms. Holograms. That's what they've been doing, families, for the past almost 60 years now. They just been advancing it to different levels and different frequencies, y'all. Check this out. The meaning of that Yod Hey Wav Hey that Eddie Griffin is wearing when he did that interview, families. And then on the left-hand side of that shirt, it got the 7 sticks of the menorah, families. Hallelujah.
The Tetragrammaton, the 4-letter sacred name of the Creator, worn only by those who practice the faith, worn only by the Hebrew Israelites. Jewish people wouldn't even put the name of the Creator on their t-shirts. This is something exclusively done by Israelites. Shout out to my brother, Yael Ben Lewi, who made this for me some time ago. Shout out to my brother, Yael Ben Lewi, who made this for me some time ago. This is the Tetragrammaton, written vertically, right? Written vertically. When you take the letters of the Tetragrammaton and you write it out vertically, it literally forms the form of man. It literally forms the form of man. The name of God in biblical Hebrew, when you write it vertically, looks like the shape and form of a human being, which is highly unique because in our era, right? In our era and in our text, and that's really what I want to emphasize, in our text, it is stated that we were created in his image. I hope y'all following me. In the text of the biblical Hebrew Bible, look at the shirt that Eddie Griffin is wearing. Come on, y'all. This is the Great Awakening. We got to thumb up this video and share this live because this is a conversation that we should be having right now. Shout out to you, my brother Junior. I just saw that. Shout out to you for your donation, my brother. I literally just saw it. Much love. Thank you very much. As always, brother Junior, as always. So, yeah. That's right, Ashley. Shout out to you, Ashley. Shalom, Captain Yehu. I see you. Morey Danya. Morey Malak. I see you. So, this literally falls in line, right, with something that we teach. It's recorded right in the Torah that man was created in the image of the Creator. Man was created in the image of the Creator. And if you look at the sacred name of God in the Hebrew culture and tradition, when you write it out vertically, it literally looks like the shape and form of a human being. Extremely powerful. So once again, shout out to our brother. And I want to also shout out the artists. Shout out my brother. This is somebody that's in my Hebrew class. Let me tell y'all, boy, the Hebrew class is very inspiring. Anybody who takes a Hebrew class will tell me.
Pause. And that's one of the elders right there, man. I ride with Brother Zion right there, man. That Aki right there, families, man, be going in. And when he displayed it, especially for the first time in my knowledge, I already knew about the Yod Hey Wav Hey. But, you know, just showing it like that and did it vertically, families, for when you can ascend and descend, but you do it up and down vertically, y'all. That right there. Yeah. Yeah. That was beautiful. That was beautiful. So I learned a lot from these brothers right here. A lot. A whole lot. That's why they try to get you away from the culture, y'all. They try to take you away from that. Because when you go back to something that was taken away from you, families, then you start understanding what was first given to you. It was a gift, y'all. Just like the present day, families. Every single day, families, that the Most High Yah shows his mercy, grace, and glory to you, families. You're supposed to give it back to him. Because he gave it as a gift. It was a present to you. And they'd be like, when you open up your gift, families, what is inside of it? It's the spirit of Yah that's inside of the gift. But when you open up your present, it's when you open up your eyes. And you saw the next day, man. You was able to have life again. That's a beautiful, beautiful understanding, man. It really is. You just got to slow down and quit being a busybody. Let wisdom come to you, families. And when it do, she's going to be patient, families. But she's going to give you everything that you need to know. That's why these people try to take you away from the culture. Let's go to another elder that is not afraid to express what the culture truly means to a certain people.
Form from before 1250, in fact, going back probably to 1600 or so. But this has significant implications for the idea, which some scholars have put forth, that Egyptian language was deeply influential on the first form of Greek that we have, that is the Linear B tablets.
So I'm awaiting the question.
That is my question. Professor Clark has stated that this is the first form of literary intelligence that surfaced around 1250, and in fact, it did not, and I'm curious how he is maintaining that.
All right.
It is the first book, and it's a book of folklore, and we really don't know whether Homer wrote it or whether Homer was man or woman. It's the first book to become known, basic to the West, in a form that we could study and conjecture about, and it emerged at the time Europe was beginning to show some intellectual maturity. And if you deal with this, you have to deal with what Professor Lessig accused me of, not paying attention to historical chronology. And if she read any of my texts, any of my numerous guides and curriculars and lecture notes, you know that I'm a specialist on chronology. I know that one comes first and two comes second. But what I was trying to get across is that in the 8th century to the 12th century, saw the intellectual emergence of Europe at a time Egypt was in its 23rd dynasty and dying after nearly 10,000 years of some forms of organized society. Europe intellectually was just being born. And I further maintain that Europe in general had nothing to do with the creation of Rome and Greece. And yet, the challenge of Rome and Greece created Europe because they were scattered tribes, and the challenge of Rome and Greece brought them together, and they became a people strong enough to create a state. If anybody got any information to the contrary, state the information to the contrary. I maintain that there was no Europe. You're giving Europe credit for things that happened before the first European war. Shoe or lived in a house that had a window. And I'm saying that you have not read, not just Massey, Joe Massey, his European disciple, Alvin Churchward, signs and symbols of primordial man, the origins of religions, and his extensive work on Freemasonry. You've not read the American disciple of Massey, Alvin Boyd Kuhn, Who is This King of Glory, one of the best written books on the Christ story, when he proves that the basis of European spirituality was taken directly from Africa.
Professor Rogers, would you like to follow on your question?
No one is actually maintaining that literary Greek culture pre-existed any number of Near Eastern cultures. Again, I find it a bit curious.
I don't accept Egypt as Near East. I accept Egypt as physically part of Africa, created by the Africans from the south.
Even if you even if I concede or admit or agree with you that Egypt is part of Africa, what I'm about to say...
There will be order. Thank you. There will be order. Thank you very much.
Do I detect some disagreement? My point was going to be that the most recent scholarship about the genesis of those two oral epics, the Iliad and the Odyssey, points, in fact, in another direction to influence, and that is, in fact, the Hittite Empire, whose documents we can read very easily, and there may well be independent confirmation of the historicity of some form of a Trojan War in those documents. And so what I'm really asking is, why is it that we're just really looking in one direction when we're talking about the origins of Greek civilization?
Professor Clark?
When Alexander entered Egypt, he wrote home to his mother and said that he at last reached the land where the Greek gods began, Apollo and Zeus. And he wanted to consult one of the great African teachers of oracles. And the oracle asked, "How old is this man?" He said, 32. They said, "In 20 years, maybe he'll be wise enough to ask me a question that I care to answer."
Professor Clark, would you like to ask Professor Rogers a question? All right, we are waiting. Professor Clark?
Yes.
It is your turn to ask Professor Rogers a question.
My main concern is that they seem to have equated the civilizations of the Tigris and the Euphrates with the civilization of the Nile. What proof do you have that the civilization of the Tigris and the Euphrates predated the civilization of the Nile?
I don't think that I said that, and I don't think that anyone maintains that. I think the Hittite Empire obviously comes at a much later period.
I know very clear when the Hittite Empire came, I know what damage they did, because I maintain that every people who came into Africa, Greeks, everything from modern day English, everybody that came into Africa did Africa more harm than good. That Africa owes nothing to outsiders in regard to development, because all of them declared war on African culture, war on African civilization, war on African ways of life. They began to bastardize Africa and confuse and create a kind of historical schizophrenia that the Africans had even got rid of to this very day. And they created whole words that did not previously exist, like Middle East. Middle from what?
In round two, we will continue. Professor Clark, you will ask the first question in round two of Professor Mary Lefkowitz.
Well, Professor Lefkowitz, at your own admission, you encountered J.A. Rogers 4 or 5 years ago. J.A. Rogers didn't say he was a historian. He was a searcher trying to find the role of the African personality in world history. He worked over 50 years of his life, gave a service, died broke. What gives you the audacity to think that you can dismiss Rogers out of hand? And what gave you the maturity to think that you can judge a writer like Sheikh Anta Diop, the finest historical writer we have produced in the 20th century.
Sir, what did you do with that?
I try to ask questions of all the material I read. I try to answer those questions on the basis of the evidence, the historical evidence. It all, in my view, comes down to that. And I do not wish to criticize any individual at all. I am dealing only with written work. The people who write that, I do not always know, and I have no individual or personal criticism of them. This is the way scholars, I'm sure, as you know, proceed, and that is simply what I did in my book. I will leave it to everyone who reads the book to judge what I did.
Professor Clark?
I think you have emphasized too much the word black, and we made the same mistake. Black tells you how you look, but it don't tell you who you are. The proper name of a people must always relate to land, history, and culture. I did not say Cleopatra was black. I quoted someone else who inferred that. My defense of Cleopatra is not on her blackness, but on no matter whatever she was born in Africa. Her manipulation of Mark Antony and Caesar kept the worst aspect of Roman rule from the backs of Africa. I defend her as an African nationalist, and that's a good defense. And no matter what she did with her wares in and out of bed, there's a whole lot of people got less for it.
Professor Lefkowitz, you may ask a question of Professor Clark.
Professor Clark, do you think that we should always judge history in terms of race?
Look, there was no such thing as race in the psyche of the world until the Europeans put it into the psyche of the world. The Africans knew nothing about race and didn't think they belonged to anything called a race. And when the Africans saw the Europeans, because they have a traditional hospitality to strangers, they didn't fight them, they didn't kill, they were curious about them. And with the African explorers, especially Mungo Park, went into Africa, nobody hurt him, nobody shot at him, nobody shot any arrows at him. The Europeans went in peacefully, but the Africans heard that Mungo Park was a pork eater. Most people don't know it, but Africans were not great pork eaters, and they're not great pork eaters today. Pork was a meat you ate in a certain ceremony, certain times a year. But we were not great pork eaters before we came to the United States, or forced to the United States. But in the United States, we had to eat the part of the pig that white folks threw away, so we made delicacies out of it and survived. I had this argument with Malcolm X. I said, if it wasn't for the black woman making delicacies out of pig feet, pig heels, guts, chitlins, you and I wouldn't be here arguing the point. I'm afraid that you're not only a delinquent in African history, you're delinquent in African folklore. So much of our history is tied up with our folklore, but Europe introduced words that didn't exist in anyone's vocabulary before. No one ever thought of anybody being inferior or superior. Intelligent people don't even devote. A human being can't fall into that category. And nobody had the extensive problems the Europeans had with women, because in the period of feudalism in Europe that lasted over 1,000 years, the white woman in Europe was a vassal. But the African woman has never been a vassal in that sense. That we should continue the culture, unity of Black Africa, dealing with the history of the matriarch. I mean, he got all the evidence right there that we were the first people to support a woman as head of state. We were the first people to support women as riding head of her army. We were the first people to make women a god.
But I wanted to follow up on a phrase that you said, and I didn't want to leave it unaddressed, the issue of full disclosure. And it is to that I'd like to ask the question of Professor Lefkowitz. Are you comfortable with the fact, you obviously were comfortable with the fact that your book, Not Out of Africa, subtitled How Afrocentrism Became an Excuse to Teach Myth as History, was underwritten by several foundations that have reportedly rightist leanings. I wondered whether this was a reflection of your own personal or ideological view, or whether you were just so cash-strapped that you took money from anyone.
No one tells me what to think, and no one tells me what to say except me, and the main financing of this book was out of my own pocket.
But surely you can appreciate the color of accepting funds from foundations that do not enjoy wide acclaim and receptivity. And I thought that maybe there was some concern on your part, in as much as you're interested in integrity, scholastic integrity and all, that you might have foregone the grants in the interest of academic and scholarly integrity.
If they had asked of me to do anything, I would not have accepted these grants. They did not do that. Therefore, the grants did not go to me. They went to Wellesley College, which had no objection to taking the money.
But still, the question remains. You have a duty, do you not, in as much as you are preparing work, the aim of which is to overturn the revisionism, you say, that is going on in Black studies, particularly in African studies. This whole battle that you have been dealing with in terms of Afrocentricity, do you not, regardless of where Wellesley chose to accept money from, do you not, as a scholar, have an obligation to discern where this money is coming from, to see whether the source is compatible with your own views as a scholar?
I did not see anything in the conditions of the grant that inhibited what I did and what I meant to do or say or think. I believe that I acted with perfect integrity. Now, you may disagree with that, and you may disagree with the aims of those foundations and other foundations, and that is what we do in a free country. Until they are outlawed, I don't see what else can be done.
Well, let me ask you the question perhaps more directly. Had there been, say, a foundation to wipe out scholarship of any sort, if such a foundation were to have given money to Wellesley College, would you have found it equally acceptable to take money from such a foundation to further your work?
I don't know what foundation you're talking about. This seems to be a...
It was a hypothetical question.
It's totally hypothetical. I don't know what you're trying to force me to say or to compel me into what corner you're tending to put me. If you want to go ahead and attack me,
I'm not forcing you to say anything, Professor Lefkowitz. I'm just trying to elicit a cogent response from you.
Well, you be the judge of my response.
All right. Okay, in this last round, before we get to questions, and we will get to questions, but let me warn you, you ought to have questions that are questions, not lectures, and that are straight to the point. In this round, it will be a free-for-all in which all of the discussants are permitted to ask questions of each other and to chime in responses whether they are asked the question directly or not.
Will we have time to sum up?
Yes, you certainly will.
treated. I think we should. I just wanted Professor Lestwich to know some basic information about the concept of Afrocentricity. There's a lot of people who believe in the African awakening and discovering of their history and their culture who do not accept the word Afrocentricity because it's a compromise with the word Africa. It's either African centricity or it's nothing. And if she attacked Afrocentricity as the teacher of myth, have she attacked the nonsense about Columbus discovering America? Because he discovered absolutely nothing, and he committed an act of genocide. He set in motion an act of genocide 10 times worse than the act of genocide in Europe called the Holocaust, as though that was the only Holocaust in the world. That event in Europe was wrong. And even if only 6 people were killed, it was wrong. But it was a matter started in Europe by Europeans that should have been solved in Europe by Europeans.
Pause. Families, a wonderful debate, families. This interview, man, was wonderful. Just showing you, families, that you have other people that has well, families, been using the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding from the Most High Yah, and let that become their #1 power source, families. The only true electromagnetic force, if that's what they want to use. But like this elder sat there and say, there was just certain words that just wasn't part of most people's language, culture, y'all. They didn't even knew the vocabulary of these certain words that we use today. Spelling, they done put spells on us, y'all. Make sure that we continue to say these words they bound us with, families. That wasn't even part of our own cultural language, y'all. This stuff is deep. Let's go. But people don't like talking about that. But you have other elders in this hour that is trying to do a purpose in this hour, families. And they willing to give you a word of wisdom to make you understand some certain things.
Is National Coming Out Day, and in the comic book city of Metropolis, Superman is coming out as bisexual. That's right, the new Superman. His name is John Kent. He's a child of Clark Kent and Lois Lane. He's fallen for another male character in the DC.
Pause. They said Superman is going to come out. What? You cannot make this up.
Comics.
That comes after a gay Aquaman, a bisexual boy wonder Robin, and a gender fluid Loki.
You know, a Robin of Batman, a Robin, as you mentioned, just came out as bi or gay recently, and the new Captain America is gay. My daughter in Supergirl, where I played the father, she was gay.
Large stores in California will now be required to create a section for gender-neutral children's toys. Governor Newsom signed a bill into law yesterday. It requires stores with at least 500 employees to maintain gender-neutral sections. The law does not ban the display of boys and girls sections. It only applies to toys and childcare products. It does not apply to clothes, and that law goes into effect in 2024.
GMA cover story this morning, Dave Chappelle is under fire after his latest stand-up special dropped on Tuesday. There's mounting backlash over claims of harmful transphobic and homophobic remarks, and LGBTQ groups are swift to respond, putting Netflix even under the microscope too. Our Chris Connolly has the story.
During the hour-long show, which premiered Tuesday, October 5th on Netflix, Chappelle addressed the offensive comments DaBaby made on stage at Rolling Loud Miami earlier this year towards the LGBTQ+ community and individuals living with HIV, telling the crowd part of the LGBTQ+ community doesn't know DaBaby's history. He once shot 19-year-old Jalen Craig and killed him in Walmart. This is true. DaBaby shot and killed a man in Walmart in North Carolina. Nothing bad happened to his career. Do you see where I'm going with this? In our country, you can shoot and kill a man, but you better not hurt a gay person's feelings.
The Luciferian social engineers work hard to maximize their body count and death rate using psychological conditioning and MKUltra techniques to bewitch and manipulate the population to engage in a voluntary eugenics program. So from their standpoint and with their objectives, the baby's murderous background is a plus. These eugenicists have unique and specialized programs that target the Israelite population. This is why they hire and promote individuals like the baby. He specializes in demonizing the image of the so-called African American while promoting death culture. For this, he is well compensated by multinational media corporations who control their artists with the carrot and the stick. The baby's corporate masters were forced to use the stick when he spoke against their LGBT population control operation, which they are banking on to be the next big wave of death and disease to decimate the population, especially the Israelites.
Let's go, families. Let's go.
I praise to the Most High Yahuwah. Let's go. Yeah.
I love you, Phil.
We be speaking life while they be speaking death. That's the code. While they tossing out they morals, we still on this righteous road. We be one, we the army of Yahuwah, and it shows. We gon' heal everything you thought to kill, and that's the goal. Let my people down, bound in gutters facing woes. For Yahuwah standing solid, this foundation never falls. Look around to see my people down, sometimes it hurt my soul. It piss me off to see my brothers out here selling to their own. Pray for child, cause you a broken child that never healed your soul. Selling rocks to your brother daddy for that money flow. Because your daddy was a fiend and you ain't know how you should cope. Heart cold, man, I understand that's not the way to go. It's a better way, conclusion for a change. And a better day, a smiling child. Mother in the home that you ain't take away. Human traffickers, man, they get so sad how they be doing it. Silly rappers out here promoting in they song industry pimping.
I'm like, yeah. It's a better day coming soon. It's a better day coming soon. It's a better day coming soon. Better day.
Why so personal? Cause it's true. What if it was you? You lost your babies to the streets. Bet you won't step up in this shoe. What if you was us? A broken nation. This right here no bluff. You think you tough till you get bust. The life we live in know is rough. Don't understand. They don't get the plan. We keep his commands. We tryna get our people out the gutter. Stand on rock, no sands. Walk advance. This is our plan. We the righteous clan. We won't settle for having a block. We tryna get the land. Wanna go back home to Jerusalem. Kneeling at your throne. Sing a song just to give you hope. Back against the road. Screaming come when the world come and try to tell us no. You got worth, understand your purse. So go and do the work. It's gon' change cause the Father looking down on all your pain. He ain't forgot about you, so just keep on living, man. Just keep your faith up in the King and we gon' make it through. They don't wanna see you rise, but Father gonna give it.
I'm like, yeah. It's a better day coming soon. It's a better day coming soon. It's a better day coming soon. Better day, better day.
Better days are coming. Better days are coming. Better days are coming. Better days are coming.
Family, so I did show y'all some stuff, family, man. I told y'all I had some gems, y'all. Families, man, we went over that, man, what they did with gravity control, families, back in 1954. They advanced it a little bit more, families, in 1956. They showed you the stages, families, of how they was elevating families. And then families, they actually, families, was trying to break the culture. As long as they control the minds of certain people, families, because that's what creates a nation. You need people, families, to create a nation. This is your tribes that's on the earth, y'all. You know what I'm saying? So I'm understanding these things. Check this out. All praises to Benny Yah. All praises to Benny Yah, families. The Most High Yah has truly been working on this brother right here. Let's go.
What is the root issue for that hatred towards our black brothers and sisters? The Lord woke me up kind of in the middle of the night, and He answered that question, and the answer was, because they're my chosen people.
In 70 AD, General Vespasian and his son Titus led into Jerusalem with great slaughter. Many outrages and atrocities were committed against the remainder of the people. It has been estimated that over 1 million Hebrews fled into the interiors of Africa from Roman persecution and slavery. The slave markets were full of black Hebrew slaves.
To reconnect to your history, you need to do three things. One, you need to redefine who the children of Judah are according to the old references. Not from the 1900s and newer, because those books tend to have a totally, completely different history in those books. So you have to ask yourself, how did we lose this in history? How did you lose 400,000 people in history? And the reason why I say how did you lose 400,000 people in history is not in the books.
Many people in today's time, many Israelites who don't know their heritage or who they are looking back.
Now it is up to us to have eyes to see and ears to hear.
time has come for you to learn once and for all who you are. So-called Negro, prepare yourself for an epic discovery. This may change your life forever. Let's take a closer look at your DNA.
Jews were black using old books, artifacts, and archaeology. But tell me this, how do I know if I'm an Israelite? We previously discussed the city of Lachish, conquered by King Sennacherib of Assyria, who after conquering the tribe of Judah's city, he then depicted the tribe of Judah on a stone relief to commemorate his victory. And we know that the Assyrians depicted Judah as a woolly-headed Negro. In fact, we also reviewed Lachish's archaeological evidence, which analyzed the skulls of the sons of Judah. And we also found them to be the skulls of a woolly-headed black man. A little over 100 years later, these sons of Judah were taken to Babylon in Spain by the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar. Years later, the Roman general Titus also brought nobles of the tribe of Judah into Spain in 70 AD. These two events set the stage for the greatest scattering of a people group in known history. From here, we read references which describe Jews expelled from Spain and Portugal into Africa and the Americas in great numbers. We also read references which told us these same Jews were then sold into slavery and scattered around the world. They cut off his fingers and thumbs if they caught him reading those old books. After all, those books revealed his true identity, and they couldn't have him learning that now, could they? How else could they justify his persecution, torment, and murder? By the hands of the church, by the hands of the Christians. The church openly persecuted the children of Israel. In fact, they persecuted none other than the royal house of Judah. Now, while Judah was in captivity, Judah was fed from the mouth of the great red dragon and the daughter of Babylon. You see, the daughter of Babylon taught Judah his history, a version of history which began with slavery and the west coast of Africa. This altered version of Judah's history began in 1619 with the arrival of Africans in English colonies on the east coast of what would later give rise to the United States of America. Judah's history before 1619 was simply omitted. covered over with new books containing a slightly modified history. To cover up this truth, modern-day books occasionally omit key parts of quotes which describe the Jews as Negro or Black, often by using well-placed ellipses to hide the truth. We can even find modern books deleting entire paragraphs which describe the Jews as being placed on West and Central Africa in great numbers and then sold into slavery. We can also find modern books acknowledging the common understanding of Jews being black during the Middle Ages, only to propose their blackness as being metaphorical. Family, these are just some of the discrepancies found in contemporary books, and reasons why you should go directly to the source and read it for yourselves. Arguably one of the most misunderstood DNA stories on Earth. You see, traditional DNA analysis rightfully trace so-called Negro DNA back to Africa. And these relationships are discovered by simply comparing present-day African American DNA with present-day African DNA. And as stated before, this analysis rightfully identifies our deep connection with our African brothers and sisters. However, there's one critical missing component in this type of DNA analysis, and it's called genetic bottleneck. A genetic bottleneck event occurs when a catastrophic event of such magnitude, of such destruction, that it wipes out or greatly reduces an entire population. In other words, the population gets purged. And the so-called Negro has gone through multiple purging events. These DNA impacting events could be an earthquake, which levels an entire city. It could be a megablast from a sleeping volcano, which obliterates all life within 100 square miles. Or, in the case of the so-called Negro, it could be the transatlantic slave trade. Murdered and displaced millions of people around the world over hundreds of years. Or a genetic bottleneck event could be triggered by an expulsion edict or an inquisition, which evicted and murdered hundreds of thousands of the House of Judah in Spain and Portugal. And so these major events, which caused hundreds of thousands of people to disappeared from an entire region, subsequently changed the DNA profile of the surviving population. Most importantly, these genetic bottleneck events impact DNA matches, which display on modern-day DNA reports. For example, so-called Negro DNA isn't found among certain modern-day populations in great numbers, and it's because the Jews were expelled from those places. For example, today's DNA reports don't show so-called Negro DNA matches in and around present-day Israel. However, if we instead compare so-called Negro DNA to ancient DNA extracted from archaeological sites in Israel and Lebanon, we find something unexpected. We find so-called Negro DNA buried in the ground of ancient Israel before the time of the Messiah.
Pause. Hey, blessing, beautiful Queen Miss Hazel. I see you in the building, Queen. I see you, sis. I see you. May the Most High Yah always hold you, guide you, bless you, keep you, and protect you and the whole family. Daughter of Sarah, Rebecca, and Leah. Hey, we have a daughter of Zion that just walked up in the building. I know you at work, sis, so you better not be working hard, Queen. You know you royalty out here. Hey, let's go, y'all. I was into the video, families. I'm trying to tell you, hey, Benny y'all dropped this out last night, y'all. He dropped it out yesterday, man. You know, so me seeing it the second time, families, it's intriguing to me, families, because he put in a lot of work in this one right here. Let's go. I see you, Aki. I see you, Aki. We love you, Queen. Hey, let's go, big sis. Yeah, this one deep, sis. This one right here. Sis, this one deep right here, sis. And earlier, Queen, Salaki. But earlier, Queen, I had went over some wonderful information. I hope you tuned in when the elder was in that little debate. And man, he's truly letting us know, family, about culture, families. Eddie Griffin, he's speaking out now, families. He even sporting the Yod Hey Wav Hey shirt, families. And then I show you the video with Zion Lex that when you do it horizontally, y'all, that Yod Hey Wav Hey look like it's the body of a man. It's the body of a man. Yod Hey Wav Hey. When you line up the letters and do it vertically, y'all, that's deep. That's deep. So I love that, families. I love that. That right there was deep. And then what Benny Yah brought up, let me quit talking. Back to the video.
Beirut, Lebanon. These ancient archaeological dig sites date back as far as 800 BC. Here, archaeologists discovered the remains of multiple people who lived in ancient Lebanon. These ancient remains are assigned ID numbers and dates. In this particular archaeological site in Beirut, Lebanon, we examined one of the DNA samples collected from an ancient grave site. DNA from this ancient individual is labeled SFI-43. This particular individual lived approximately 567 to 404 BC. Researchers compared the ancient DNA remains of SFI-43 to modern-day Lebanese and Egyptian populations, as well as samples taken from a previous report. They discovered something shocking. They discovered the ancient Lebanese labeled SFI-43 was not closely related to modern Lebanese populations. Instead, SFI-43 showed close relationship to ancient Egyptian DNA samples. This is related in the following graph. Notice the dark green dots of the ancient Egyptian DNA are close to the light green dots of the SF543 ancient Lebanese DNA samples. The same findings were illustrated in yet another graph. Now, in this particular graph, related or shared DNA between samples is displayed as red marks. Now notice SFI43 shows red related marks when compared to the ancient Egyptian DNA samples. However, researchers didn't stop there. They added one additional group to compare their ancient Lebanese SF543 DNA to. They compared it to the E1B1A Yoruba DNA of West Africa. And they were surprised to see that it was a perfect match. Negroes in Israel before the time of the Messiah. And it's not like we're just finding one person in these ancient sites. In research reports, we find the DNA of our African American queens listed as L0 and L3. That's the DNA of Negroes. And it can only mean one thing. We were there. Ancient DNA which matched the Yoruba of West Africa. What is it doing in Beirut, Lebanon in 567 BC? Family. The Bible tells us life is in the blood, and they're finding your blood in these old bones of Israel.
Pause. And families, man, that's what the elder was bringing out, families, to show you, families, that when something was forced upon us, families, we did not understand the language, we didn't understand the culture. But as the generations continue, families, and as they continue to enslave more and more and more of a certain people, families, all over the world, y'all, that was scattered throughout the diaspora, families, man, they forced us to understand a different vocabulary and a different language that was not part of us, man. It was not. That's why you got to tribe up in this hour. What Benny Yah brought out right here, man, is beautiful. What the elder was speaking out, families, in that debate, families, we lost that. We're in an hour where we regaining it, families. So most people, families, throughout the years, families, was using a certain power source, y'all. A certain power source. And it increased their knowledge, families. They became masters and expert in that field, y'all. While everybody else was doing other things. So that's what that elder was doing. Same thing go with Benny Yah. Benny Yah is using a certain power source, families. That's giving him knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to bring out to those that have an ear to hear. And families, he dropped this out last night, and this right here, it was so edifying. He took time in this, right here. Time. That's why I showed y'all about that video about how these cats, man, is using holographs and stuff, families. These people been trying to mutate your DNA and everything. And the more that they can control your mind, your thoughts, they can control the way that you feel, and they can control your actions because you gave it to them. Let's learn, y'all. Why you had brothers and sisters that took the time. Hallelujah. They took that time, man. And families, they giving it to you. True charity, y'all. That's real love. It's priceless. but very valuable. All you got to do is just feed on it. Eat on the fruits, families. Let's go. Culture means everything. Come, Aki, hallelujah. Yahuwah in Yahushua. Let's go, Yasharal. Let's go. This right here was deep. It's powerful to me. Beniyah, thank you, Aki. Thank you, Big Brother. Tawada. He put some work in this one, y'all saw. He put some work in this one.
Do you want to know if your DNA matches ancient DNA discovered in Lebanon from around 567 BC? Well, if you've taken DNA tests with companies such as Ancestry DNA or 23andMe, you can download your DNA data from those companies and upload your data to mytrueancestry.com. MyTrueAncestry.com will compare your DNA to ancient DNA extracted from archaeological sites all around the world. Now, prices may vary based on the number of archaeological sites you wish to compare your DNA to. And no, we're not associated with MyTrueAncestry. However, if you want to know your story, if you want to know if you're related to ancient human remains discovered in and around Israel before the time of the Messiah, then upload your DNA today. And not only might you find your literal family gravesite in Israel, you also might discover you have a family gravesite in Granada, Spain. But first, let's review how the Brews got to Spain in the first place. Was indeed the beginning of the time of the Gentiles. The descendants of Rome burned the Most High Yah's holy city to the ground. Nothing was spared, and not one stone was left upon another. The blood of Judah and Jerusalem ran through the streets. 2/3 would perish by the fire and the sword, and 1/3 would go into captivity. As spoken by Hamashiach, the prophecy had come to pass. Let them which are in Judea flee into the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out. And let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. And so the brews were taken to Spain and Portugal by King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon and General Titus of Rome. Both groups of brews were royal blood descendants of King David. As the following reference reads, and it reads, the Spanish Jews maintained that they had been transported hither after the destruction of the temple by the Babylonian conqueror Nebuchadnezzar. And the next reference reads, the Roman governor of Spain begged the conqueror of Jerusalem to send him some noble families from the capital of Judea, and Titus complied with the request. So we see the footsteps of the sons of King David made its way to Spain and Portugal, where they lived for over 1,000 years. Ironically, it's here in Spain and Portugal where we witness an amazing transformation of the sons.
Oh, families. Now I'm starting. Okay. Check this out, families. Now I see what our Alua is doing, families. I'm clearly seeing what our Alua is doing, families. Yahuwah, families, that's why Yahusha kept on telling us who they say the Son of Man is, families. The Most High Yah needs a vessel, families, to show His mercy, to show His grace. That way that we can give glory unto Him, families. Clearly doing that, families. And based upon our genetic code, families, our genetic makeup, families, the structure of it, families, and the foundation of it, families, we had instructions, families, to going to show us and bring us back to who we are and who we used to be. Clearly, families. But based upon disobedience, we lost all of that. Let's go to a commercial break, because hallelujah, man. Now I see why when I took us to Ashunda at large, and when our big sis Ashunda families, that Octi families was going in on the Book of Mormons families, and it was telling me about 2nd Esdras chapter 15, and how the Most High Yah was going to bring vengeance on those innocent blood families of his prophets families, those that died for the word, y'all. Them were men. They died for it. He said he's going to revenge that, families. Vengeance is of Yah. So I'm seeing everything that's going. So we're finna go to a commercial break, families. Let's get this little music in, families, and back to the information. All this stuff is clicking in. You got to go back to his story. Go back to the story of Yahusha, families. The whole book, he come as the whole volume of it, families, is written of him, families. Everything. Esdras was 400 years before our Hamashiach. 400 years before our Hamashiach. And they took the book of Esdras out. 2nd Esdras was deep, y'all. It was deep. Chapter 15, that whole chapter, y'all. 2nd Esdras, chapter 15, that whole chapter. Let's go to the commercial break. Where that song at?
change. Still remain the same, so I'll turn the other page. You're never late, never away. You're always here, so why would I fear? Never alone. Your love is my hope. I cannot be without you. Where would I be without you? There's none above you, and there's none beside you, and as we're around you, together we stand, lifting our hands to Yahweh. Together we stand, lifting our hands to Yahweh. Together we stand, lifting our hands to Yahweh.
Mentally, I've been bench pressing, trying to work it out. Flaws on me like the headliner. Had a boy cheering when you brought him out. Wait, can't tell him what we talk about. Holding on, just leave me go. You walk on water, I need the boat. I tried it once and seemed to flow. I always fall. You see the slope, wait. Look, man, it is what it gotta be. I'd give an arm and a leg, and you heard what I said just to hear that you're proud of me. Things I've been dealing with quietly, back in and out of sobriety. On thin ice with my sanity. I mean, look at my salary, all of the hours I put in. They gon' talk, he gon' snitch, say his love, not convinced. Seen enough, they always switch. Went from calls or holding hands that I won't lie, we can't be friends. So many things I don't understand can tell us apart. The pain is a twin, I humble myself and trust in the plan. You know what I'm saying?
Knowing everything is working out for my good, I confide in you. You're the only one who understands. Oh, yeah. Only you understand. Yes, you do, yes, you do. With everything I've been through, you do. You understand my flaws, my faults, and every part of me. It's only you that can get me right. Yeah, yeah. You know, there's just a lot of hurting people in this world right now. And the one thing that they need is to find love, to find comfort, and to find peace. And that's something that I believe that we have the ability to give. You know, I just want them to experience God, to experience life, to experience every good thing through what we do and through the music we bring. Yeah.
And when that spirit flow, families, let it overflow. Vibe with me. Let's go. Vibe with me.
I've
Let
been
it
catching
overflow.
vibes lately. It's like I gotta try lately. I guess it's even right, maybe. The questions on my mind, pacing, mind racing. It looks like the time's changing. Everybody life saving. I can't just be light chasing. You really gave your life trading. Cause you hold it down for me. Even when my life gets louder, my mind feels a little bit crowded. Down for me. Thank you for the cost you counted. You're the place my hope is founded.
don't wanna be subject to this back and forth. Clearing my doubts, but they're back for more. I wanna push on, but I'm lacking for it. God, take me where I can't go by myself. I want you and nothing else. 'Cause you hold it down, down for me. Even when my life gets louder, my mind feels a little bit crowded. Down, down for me. Thank you for the cost you counted. You're the place my hope is founded. Yeah, even in my lowest valley, I still felt your presence around me. I won't doubt it, I can't count it. All the times you brought me out, and I often ask the question, why you blessing all the time? You tell me stop stressing, I turn left, you'll make it right. You said you're gonna hold me down, told me you'll never leave me lonely. Gotta be set apart, cause I know I'm different. I know you're never far, you ain't never distant. It don't really get much better than this. Set me up, hold me down, so I never can drift. I give you my all, I will never go back. Take my life, I'ma let you hold all my days. You gon' get all of my praise. Yeah. 'Cause you went down, down for me. Always been down for me, yeah. Even when my life gets louder, my mind feels a little bit crowded. Down, down for me. Thank you for the cost you counted. You're the place my hope is founded. You're the place my hope is founded, yeah. You take me from the valley to the mountain, yeah. I can see you moving so astounding, yeah. I can see you moving so boundless, yeah. You hold me down, 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 down,
Hey, let's go back to our elder families. Let's go back to our elder. Moray Benny Yacht. Had to soothe your soul for a second, families. You know how your brother do. Let's go.
Sons of King David. It's here that the sons of King David transformed themselves into a people called Negroes. It began when a Brew and his family and their descendants began calling themselves Negroes in the 11th and 12th centuries. And yes, these are the Negroes, as prophecy states, who are scattered to the four corners of the world.
What this wicked world decrees of people trodden down, who they always wanna keep beneath. But the time has come for all those in the world to see the chains being broken. Spirit, mind, soul set free. A Negro, a Negro. I said, como esta to my Negroes. Praise the Most High, 'cause we's about to go. Once they found out
Go, Yasser
about these Negroes,
We
in a
go.
Negro, a Negro. I said, como esta to my Negroes. Praise the Most High, 'cause we's about to go. Once they found out more about these Negroes. In 1492, Ferdinand and Isabella issued an edict to expel the Jews. They were banished from Portugal, Spain, and for the faith they were treated inhumane. This kicked off the Atlantic slave trade. Our history they try to erase. This fulfilled Deuteronomy 28. Every single curse is black Hebrews living every day. We are hidden Hebrews and every nation. We are hidden Hebrews and every nation.
And now, let's review what we've learned so far. Let's review how to properly research Negro DNA. If you want to to find DNA of the so-called Negro in ancient Israel and the Middle East, look at the old bones. Or if you want to find DNA of the so-called Negroes in Spain and Portugal, look at the old bones and compare your DNA to the ancient DNA extracted from archaeological sites from around the world. And when you do this, using your very own DNA, you may just discover that it was your forefathers who lived in Israel and Lebanon during the times of old. And you may also discover that it was your forefathers who lived in the hometown of the sons of King David himself in Granada, Spain. Granada, Spain, was considered the hometown of the sons of King David. In fact, it was their second place of residence after first settling in Seville, Spain. As the following reference reads, King Alonso, whence we may learn, if we can believe it, that the king of Spain, who had assisted Nebuchadnezzar in reducing Jerusalem, brought an enormous population into Spain, all from either the family of David or at least from the tribe of Judah, and that the royal family resided first in Seville, then in Granada, adding that the exiles afterwards had their numbers greatly increased by the fugitives from the desolation of the Second Temple. Spanish-Jewish family of Nasi. Now keep in mind that Nasi is an alternate name for Yaya Negro. So it reads, Nasi, or Yaya Negro, also traced back its pedigree to King David, and proved it by means of a genealogical table and seals. Skipping ahead, a family tradition runs to the effect that the Roman governor of Spain begged the conqueror of Jerusalem to send him some noble families from the capital of Judea, and that Titus complied with the request. Now, we know the famous numerous Yaya Negroes, or Nasi family, moved into Africa, based on Sephardic Hebrew grave sites found in Africa, and based on Bruce surnames in Sephardic dictionaries, which list the geographic locations where the Sephardic Hebrew name Negro was found. Family, why were the sons of King David living in Granada, Spain? What was so special about that particular city? Perhaps it was because the city of Granada was given solely to the Druze by the Muslims. In fact, Granada was called Jews' Town, as the following reference reads, Granada was entrusted to the Jews alone, and for this reason it came to be known at the commencement of the Arab Dominion in Spain by the name Jews' Town. And today, we have African Americans matching the old bones, the ancient DNA extracted from Jews' Town, from an archaeological site which dates to around 950 AD, during the early years of the Arab Dominion in Spain. in the hometown of the sons of King David. Family, do you see what happens when you combine your history with your DNA? Well, let's see how you can use your very own DNA to prove you are Judah. When reviewing your DNA, you need to be familiar with history. If old references state that large numbers of Jews were sent to Africa, then we should expect a large part of your DNA to match modern-day African populations. As the following reference reads, Barbert states that in the reign of King John II, and about the close of the 15th century, large numbers of Jews were expelled from Portugal and taken to the coast of southern Guinea. And the next reference reads, the first design of settling there, it was in the year of 1486, but perceiving how many perished in the attempt, and that they could better agree with the continent on the coast of Guinea, it was resolved by King John II of Portugal that all the Jews within his dominion, which were vastly numerous, should be obliged to receive baptism, or upon refusal be transported to the coast of southern Guinea. And the next reference reads, King John II in 1492 expelled all the Jews to the island of St. Thomas, which had been discovered in 1471, and to other Portuguese settlements on the continent of Africa. And from these banished Jews, the Black Portuguese, as they are called, and the Jews in Morocco, who are despised even by the very Negroes, are descended. And so, with large numbers of Jews fleeing to Africa, we should expect a large percentage of our DNA to match places in Africa. In fact, so-called African American DNA, E1B1A, is predominantly found in high concentrations in Africa in just 2 places. That's right, family. And the first place of high concentration of African American DNA is found in the place where the Portuguese Jews lived in great numbers. As the following reference reads, in 1622, the Cape Verdean governor, Dom Francisco de Moura, reported to the Portuguese king that the Guinea coastal rivers were full of Jews who were masters of the local region and were quite independent of the crown. The Portuguese Jews settled in great numbers in the area of Senegal and Guinea-Bissau, which is the area of the highest concentration of E1B1A in Africa, or at least one of 2 places of high concentrations of E1B1A. The second place of high concentration of African American DNA in Africa can be found in a territory called the Kingdom of Judah, and the territory of Banbara and Lamlam above it. And oddly enough, old writers describe the inhabitants of this territory as Jews. As the following reference reads, the land of Lamlam, inhabitants. According to the accounts of the people of the neighboring countries, the natives of Lamlam are Jews. Skipping ahead, the people of Sala and Berseda and Takur make predatory incursions into the land of Lamlam.
There you go, Yehuda. There you go, beautiful Queen Hazel. You see that, Akti? Big sis. When you go back to his story, man, he bringing everything. He's going to teach you all this stuff. You have other people that mastered and became expert in research as well. There's people with different crafts out here, y'all. Right now, you got other people, families that they field is cultural background, cultural history. There's people out here, family, that got a culture, families, that was taken away from them, and the Most High Yah is giving it right back. Let's go.
And carry away its inhabitants captive to their own countries, where they are purchased by the merchants who travel thither, and who transfer them to other countries. And the next reference reads, east of the Great Popo begins the Dahomey territory, guarded by the important town of Gliga, known to Europeans by the various names of Fida, Wida, Wida, Bida. The old writers called it Judah, and its inhabitants were said to be Jews. And as stated before, the highest concentration of so-called African American DNA is found in places where the Portuguese settled and the Kingdom of Judah.
Pause. So when the Most High Yah bring them two candlesticks to two houses, families, the house of Yasharal and the house of Yehuda, the house of Judah, families, man, we will be in full obedience, y'all. The laws will be written in our inward parts, families. We are going to obey every single command that is given, ordered to us, families. You seeing that, families? Your genetic makeup was built and made and created like that, families. Some people don't have no choice but to do that and get in tune to that. You're going to stay linked to that, families. The Most High Yah hates every unjust way. He hates that. So when I let's go back to 2nd Ezra chapter 15, because Brother Benny Yah is doing some beautiful work, families. Yahusha's story is very important, families. You have to understand certain things. Keep it in its timeline. Let's go. So 2nd Ezra chapter 15. And check this out, families. He's telling you what this was written in. We had went over this before, but we didn't finish it. Because later on in the chapter, families, he gave you some clues. Let's go. 2nd Ezra, this 400 years before our Hamashiach, our King of Kings and Lords of Lords, that ordained us to become royalty on this earth, families. That way that you become kings and priests. Families, who they say the Son of Man is, he need a man, a vessel, families, to do his works. Applications, families, requires preparation. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, said Yahuwah, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. This paper, families, is our holy scriptures, families. Fear not the imaginations against thee. Let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. These are those that show no loyalty, families. They don't understand the true righteousness of Yah. Behold, said Yahuwah, I will bring plagues upon the earth, the sword, the famine, death, and destruction. He coming with fury, families. He already came with love. He gave us his son, that one day he was well pleased of, families. Who they say the Son of Man is. For wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works with an S, these are deeds, y'all, are fulfilled. Therefore said Yahuwah, I will hold my tongue no more, and touching their wickedness, which they profanely committed, neither will I suffer them in those things in which they wickedly exercise themselves. These things are what you do daily. You exercise these things. Exercise themselves. Behold, the innocent and righteous blood crieth unto me, and the souls of the just complain continually. I told you that Yahuwah hates every unjust way. And therefore said Yahuwah, I will surely avenge them and receive unto me all the innocent blood from among them. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt, but I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm. This mighty hand and that stretched out arm was his son, that Elohim that came on earth in the flesh. That's why he kept on telling Peter and the rest of his disciples who they say the Son of Man is. The word of Yah made flesh. You can't make, he gave it to us. He gave us the answer. He told you the instructions. You just have to go by it in its proper order. You can't be just skipping timelines just because you don't know what's going on. That's why he sent his prophets, that innocent blood, families that cried out unto him. Check this out. But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, his son, and smite Egypt with plagues, as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten, with the plagues and punishment that Yahuwah shall bring upon it. That was his judgments, y'all. That they till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail. Though the blasting in hell, and with a fearful consolation, he gonna send the winds from the Malachines. Them great Malachines gonna be blowing, families. Oh yeah, them strong winds, y'all. Check this out. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction jars near, family. It's coming, families. It's coming with straight fury. And one people shall stand and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. These are people that you have rule over you. You let these people have rule over you, but you're only supposed to have one king. You only got one Alua. That's Yahuwah. And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. I told you it was deeds. A man shall desire to go into a city and should not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and the man shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods, because of the lack of bread and the great tribulation. Behold, said Yahuwah, I will call together all the kings of the earth to vengeance me, which are from the rising of the sun. Check this out. I told you he was going to give us instructions. We just had to read further down. I told you he's going to give you some instructions. Watch, and they basic, y'all. They ain't even that deep. It's just that they took it out of your KJV, but it used to be watch. Behold, said Yahuwah, I will cause together all the kings of the earth. I told you what king mean. King stands for knowledge. The I stand for inspiration. The N stand for notoriety. That's why he kept on telling you about these works and these deeds. Check this out. The G stand for glory. Because what? When you read verse, where is it at? We just read it. Oh, Shlach. There you go, verse 12. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it, that foundation, our true cornerstone, was his son, Yahusha, families. He told you that. Of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that Yahuwah brought the order, families. He gave it to his son. His son is finna great to bring all the destruction on this earth when he come. Watch. That's why he said, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. Now he's giving you a warning. He's giving you a warning. These warnings was written all in your scriptures. This was 400 years before our Hamashiach, families. This was before our King of Kings and Lords of Lords. It was prophesied about what he was going to do. Clearly, they had it in your KJV. They took it out. These was instructions, y'all. Basic instructions, too. It wasn't even that deep. We just had to read further down. Verse 20 again. Behold, said Yahuwah, I will call. When you call, that's a trumpet being blown, families. It's supposed to let people be what? Beware. Then you're going to start doing what? Preparation, families. Then you're going to do what? Apply applications to it, families. Actions. You getting ready for something. Battle axes and weapons of war. Behold, say Yahuwah, I will call together all the kings of the earth to vengeance me. I told you he was going to use a man. He need a man to do it. That's why he sent his son. He showed you that. He showed you that. Wasn't who they say the son of man is. Hallelujah. Yahuwah in Yahusha. Let's go. Which are from the rising of the sun, from the south, from the east, and Labanus, to turn themselves one against another and repay the things that they have done to them. Like as I do, yet this day unto my chosen, so will I do also and recompense in their bosom. Abraham, families, Abraham. Thus said our Elohim Yahuwah, my right hand shall not spare the sinners. Who is this right hand? That is who they say the Son of Man is. That's his son that's going to come and bring judgments to all the nations on the earth. He just told you that. You just had to continue to read down. The fire is gone forth from his wrath and have consumed the foundations with an S of the earth. These are the 7 continents that the children of Yasharal is scattered on this planet. And the sinners, let the straw that is kindled, woe to them that sin and keep not my commandments, and did it with an exclamation mark. It didn't do it with a question. It didn't even do it with a period. It did it with an exclamation mark. Said our Elohim Yahuwah. Check this out. I will not spare them. Go your word, ye children, from the power defiled not my sanctuary, which is your temple. I told you when we went to Zion Lex and he showed you what Eddie Griffin, that shirt that he was wearing, and on the left sleeve he had the menorah, the 7 candlesticks, families. Oh yeah, families. It was showing you that when you look at Yod Hey Wav Hey and you put it up and down, families, it's the temple of the man, his sanctuary. Let's go. For Yahuwah knoweth all them that sin against him. This is things that's recorded in your memory, and therefore delivered him. Salaki. For Yahuwah knoweth all them that sinneth against him, and therefore delivereth he them unto death and destruction. For now are the plagues come upon the whole earth, and ye shall remain in them. For Yahuwah shall not deliver you, because ye have sinned against him. Behold, a horrible vision, and the appearance thereof from the east. It wasn't talking about nothing that you're going to be looking at, families, in the Western Hemisphere. It's telling you where it's going to start at. It's telling you where it's going to be coming from. Where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many, what? Chariots. Talking about what Zechariah was prophesying in Zechariah chapter 12, 13, and 14. And the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Also the Comedians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. This is very deep, because Zechariah was trying to tell us this. But why didn't we understand that this was prophesied way before Zechariah gave us a prophecy? And then shall the dragons with an S have the upper hand, remembering their nature. I told you these are people with animalistic mindsets, families. They have an animalistic nature. Wild beast. And if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them. Now they finna start putting all these different traditions of man on you, families, to continue to press you harder and harder and harder. And those that don't know no better, families, is going to be always wondering, why is all bad things happening to me? Then these shall be troubled, bled, and keep silence through their power, and shall flee. And from the land of the Assyrians shall the enemy besiege them, and consume some of them. And in their hosts shall be fear, and the dread and the strife among their kings. Behold, clouds from the east, and from the north unto the south, and they are very horrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm. Now the Most High is going to send his angels to bring this great storm of nature, families, that no man created. You can't even blame what the Most High Yahweh created happened right here. You can't even say that was weather modification. No, this is going to be his power. It's going to be like a great big cloud, families. It's going to bring nothing but destruction, and he's telling you which direction it's going to be coming from. Yeah, you can't blame this. When this comes, you can't blame that on weather modifications. Let's go. Verse 34 again. Behold, clouds with an S from the east and from the north unto the south. He telling you which directions they coming from. And they are very horrible to look upon. People is going to be running into their houses, into the factories, families, when they was outside on the yard, families, because they thinking bad weather is coming. Yeah, bad weather is coming. He told you it was horrible to look upon. Can't make this up when it's written. They shall smite one upon another, and they shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth, even their own star, and blood shall be from the sword unto the belly, and dug upon man of the camel's hoe. And there shall be great fearfulness and trembling upon the earth, and they that see the wrath shall be afraid, and trembling shall come upon them. And then shall there come great storms with an S again. He's steady sending it, families. It's like a hurricane, families, that keep on coming and coming and coming, families. It's just hitting you, families. Back to back to back. And he's telling you in which direction they coming from. Verse 38 again. And then shall there come great storms from the south and from the north, and a northern port, this time from the west. Ooh, man, let's go, man. Let's go back to Benny, y'all, families. I'm just trying to tell you, families, that when you go to your classes, they put you up on game, families. They put you up on game. How many? We got 5%. Well, families, let's see if we can get as much as we can. Let's go. I love y'all, man. Those that came in the building, I love y'all, man. Let's eat. Hey, beautiful Queen Riri, I see you, sis. Blessings, Auntie. Many of us y'all always hold the guys. Bless you, keep you, and protect you and the whole family. Hey, a daughter of Sarah, Rebecca, and Leah is in the building. You know you royalty out here, big sis. Let's go.
DNA reports often show the percentages of DNA ancestry contained within a person's DNA. For example, an Ancestry DNA or 23andMe DNA report could show someone as 50% Nigerian or 30% Cameroon. However, these reports are missing a critical value which hides your true identity. These reports are missing a value called genetic distance. In general, genetic distance shows the similarity of your DNA compared to another person's DNA.
I love you more, beautiful Queen Hazel. Let's go, big sis. Let's go, Auntie. I love you more, big sis.
For example, a mother and a daughter would have an extremely low genetic distance value compared to a mother and a distant cousin. The lower the genetic distance value, the better. A company named GenMatch provides these types of genetic distance reports. In other words, we can use GenMatch to find your most closely related DNA groups. Your DNA groups with the lowest genetic distance values. For some so-called African Americans, the groups with the lowest genetic distance values are places where the Jews once lived. Let's review some additional ways you can use your DNA to prove you are from the house of Judah. A good place to start would be to take the Ancestry DNA test. Once Ancestry DNA analyzes your DNA, you will get back a DNA report which looks similar to the report shown on the screen. This is where we combine history with your DNA results. Let's use my DNA report for example. Note that my report shows small DNA matches in Portugal, France, and England, less than 5%. However, these are all places from which the Jews were expelled, as the following reference reads. Many Jews also are scattered over this region, some natives boasting themselves of Abraham's seed, inhabiting both sides of the river Niger. Others are Asian strangers who fled thither either from the desolation of Jerusalem by Vespasian, or from Judea wasted and depopulated by the Romans, Persians, Saracens, and Christians, or else such as came out of Europe, whence they were banished, out of some parts of Italy in the year 1342, out of Spain in the year 1462, out of the Low Country in 1350, out of France 1403, out of England 1422. These all differ in habit and are divided into several tribes having no dominion, though both wealthy and numerous, but despised of all nations, and so abominated by the Turks that they are not admitted to be Mohammedans unless first baptized. And so the places which the Jews fled from may display as small DNA match percentages, whereas the places where the Jews fled to, such as Africa, show up as large DNA match percentages. This is where GEDmatch comes in. We can use GEDmatch to find your DNA groups with the lowest genetic distance value, which identifies the DNA mix groups you are most closely related to. In other words, GEDmatch can confirm if you indeed have Portuguese, Spanish, English, or French DNA, as confirmed on my GEDmatch genetic distance report. History. The sons of King David's hometown was Granada, Spain, during the Arab Dominion. DNA. My DNA matches ancient DNA remains in Granada, Spain, from 950 AD, during the time of the Arab Dominion. History. The Druze were expelled from Spain, and many fled into Africa. DNA. My DNA also shows a close DNA match in Portugal. History. Druze then fled from Castile to Navarre, Spain, which is also called Basque today. DNA. My DNA shows Navarre, Spain, or Basque as a close match. Now, keep in mind that these are just a few examples of how history matches up with DNA. DNA fact. Did you know that the tribe whose DNA most closely matches the so-called African Americans isn't found in West or Central Africa? The people whom you most match are the Limba of South Africa, and another group to be revealed in a later video. Do you know the Limba's oral tradition tells that they belong to the House of Judah, Southern Kingdom, and that they were sent into captivity into Babylon, and that they were part of the family of Seneca who returned back to Jerusalem to help rebuild the walls of Jerusalem. In other words, they lived in Jerusalem. Why would so-called African Americans match DNA of a people who lived in Jerusalem, who are from the House of Judah? Now, Limba oral tradition states that they left Jerusalem and fled south with their wives into Africa. However, that's a story for another day. Check the description of this video for more details to come. Well, family, hopefully you can see that our declaration that we are the House of Judah is based on an abundance of history and fact. And
Oh, families, we did it, y'all. All praises, families. Man, I truly hope that this was absolutely edifying, family.
Y'all willing, we will have a follow-up video.
It edified me
to further explore this topic
in more ways than one. More ways than one. Thank you all, man, for coming in, showing that love, families. Giving me the spirit. Thank you all.
And thank you to those
families, and to the Most High, y'all let us meet up again, families. Beautiful Queen Hazel, beautiful Queen Riri. the daughters of Sarah, Rebecca, and Leah. Man, the kings of Zion out there, the kings of Yasharal. Man, my Akis. I don't want to say that I love you, bros. Salute and respect to the Most High Yah, our Alua, Yahuwah, and Yahusha HaMashiach. We love you. Families, man, we went over a lot of gems, y'all. I showed you that one video clip about what these cats, man, was doing, families, back in the 1950s with gravity control, and how they tried to confuse their families. And families, they actually mastered their craft, families, and it's amongst us to this day. We also, families, went to cultural background, families, and cultural history, families. And then Benny Yah Yisrael, families, man, gave us another edition. May the Most High always hold you, guide you, bless you, keep you, and protect you always, Yahshua. Lord is willing, if it's Yah's willing, we will meet again tomorrow. I got some more gems, y'all. Where the children of Yahshua at? Scattered abroad the up four corners of this planet, the true chosen seed of Yah. I want to say that we are forever out to sons and daughters of Zion. And we've been out to Yahshua. I want to say that I love you. Shalom and shalom.
Thank you on behalf of all those who have learned from this lesson.